Speed on Zach Smith and Marc Crawford.
Yeah, Marc Crawford will not be in the lineup tonight. He's got an upper body injury and shouldn't keep him out for too long, but unfortunately he will not be able to play for us this evening. Zach Smith is a game time decision, so we're hopeful that he'll be able to go, and all signs are pointing to that, but we will make sure.
Some of us remember Christian Wolanin in Quebec City in Toronto. What traits do you see in his son?
Well, they're both big, tall guys that I think Craig and Christian both have really good offensive instincts. Craig was a really good puck mover, and his vision of the ice was terrific. His read of the play, Craig's, was, at the time I had him, was a lot better than what Christian's is right now. And, we're working on Christian to continue to play well away from the puck. And that's usually the biggest factor with young defensemen as they grow, is when they really learn to manage the game in the defensive zone the right way, use their stick really well. I think he's taken huge step this year. At the start of the year, you saw him, his stick was always up like this, and he was flailing around in his defensive zone coverage, and now we never mention it. Yeah, his stick has become that good, and because he's such a tall kid that extends his reach, it gives him a little bit more ability to manage the ice in the defensive zone a little bit better. But again, his improvement will probably come in his ability to handle top players, and the quickness that you need, the positioning that you need, the agility that you need, and with that it comes a lot with read. His father had exceptional read, and was a very, very good top 3 defenseman, top 2 maybe in some of the years that he played. And I know with us in both Quebec and Colorado, he was a big part of why we were a successful team.
Coach, you've been around a long time. You've seen teams rise in this fall. There's a lot of parity in the league. How, when you look at what this team has, what this organization has in terms of young players coming up, how quickly do you think you can turn around?
I think it's a little bit quicker than maybe a lot of people are envisioning. If you end up getting a couple of young players that progress at the level that maybe Brady Tkachuk has progressed this year with us. And if they, I'm not expecting that guys are going to come in and be top 6 forwards, but if they can play, if they come in and they're responsible, if they come in and they play with speed and they have the courage and the character to really try to be an impactful player every night, I think then the progression is a lot quicker than it was, say, definitely in the 80s, or say the way it was in the 90s and maybe even the early 2000s. I think the transition can happen a lot quicker. You need a couple of surprises along the way, and sometimes those surprises come from minor league players that are ready to step in even better than anybody expected. And again, maybe you get a good draft pick in there along the way, and somebody really shines a little bit quicker. This is a good nucleus, as you've commented on. Brady and Colin White and the young Balsers and Drake Batherson down at the minor league level, Verano, you keep going on, Logan Brown is going to play here, and he's going to play well as an NHL player. They all still need a little bit of seasoning, and whether that seasoning happens here or happens in Belleville, we at least know that they're headed in the right direction and that the future is brighter. And then you look on defense, we've got a great group of young defensemen here. Thomas Chabot is as good as there is in the league. Young Eric Brandstrom is going to be exceptional. We've only seen a small snippet of him, but we really like what we see, and his intelligence is off the charts. And again, we talked about Christian Wolanin. He's really showed himself quite well. Christian Yaros, the other Christian for us, has played really well as a young defenseman, and we still have on the older players that we've got, Harper and DeMello and Cody Ceci are still 25 and under. And, you don't usually get to your best until those late 20s. And so we look forward to those guys to keep progressing as well.
As someone who's been with this club through a lot of turnover, what stood out to you about Craig Anderson and his demeanor this year?
Well, I think experienced goaltenders is obviously crucial in any time you're doing a rebuild, because there are going to be games where the goalie has to keep you in it. And, you know, even in the short time since I've taken over, we can look at a lot of the games, and goaltending was the #1 factor why we won, in at least 3 of those games that we've won. And, you know, keeps you close. You don't dwell so much on mistakes when your goalie keeps you close. When they're letting them in, then everything seems to be not catastrophic, but it seems to take greater importance. And, you know, the difference between a defender going an extra step out of the zone to try and, you know, stop something, it's a big difference. If they can have some patience, and the goaltender often will give them patience by making saves, and then, you know, usually we can hone in on how we need them to play in the correct way, to play in the correct positioning.
Marc, when you took over, what was maybe one thing you wanted to change, or maybe you feel like, I don't know if achieved is the right word, but you feel like you made an impact in that area?
Well, I think probably the main thing has been the players themselves. The players themselves have, we've talked a lot about what is it that you want. And, you know, for me, that's not my input, that's their input. You know, maybe we've put a platform where they've been able to really focus in on that. And to be truthful, the timing was right, because, you know, we were out of the playoff race. We weren't in a do or die situation, so we could focus in on that type of talk, that type of improvement. And at the end of the day, it's them that have to make the decision to play the way that they need to play to help their careers, to help us to be a more competitive team. And right now, to be truthful, we have to play like that, where the talent disparity between us and a lot of the opposition teams is fairly great. So we've got to be really accurate in how we play and the systems that we're playing.
All set, gents?
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Marc.